Welcome back to the NCOFCU podcast, The Skills Board Chairs Need Now, where we will dive into the latest trends and insights that shape the new world of credit union chairmanship. I'm your host, Emma, and today we're tackling a compelling topic. The role of a board chair has changed in a big way, and it didn't happen with one headline event. It happened quietly over a few years, as the world got more complicated and expectations kept rising. If you think back a decade or so, what did we tend to reward in a board chair? Deep experience, strong authority, good judgment, and the confidence to make a call. And to be clear, those qualities still matter. But they don't carry the job the way they used to. Today, a board chair is operating in the middle of competing stakeholder expectations, fast-moving technology, global uncertainty, and far more scrutiny than boards were used to. So the chair's job is less about directing everything with control, and more about helping the board navigate complexity without losing its effectiveness. So what does that actually look like in practice? Let's walk through the capabilities that define strong board chairs right now. First, there's a shift from authority to orchestration. In the past, it was easy to assume the chair needed to be the most seasoned voice in the room, the person who could see around corners and settle debates with sheer experience. But the best chairs today don't try to be the smartest person at the table. They focus on making the table smarter. That means pulling together a lot of information without getting lost in it. It means hearing different viewpoints and finding the pattern underneath the disagreement. It means facilitating discussion that actually produces insight, instead of letting meetings turn into status updates or talking points. In that sense, the chair becomes more like a conductor than a soloist. The goal isn't to dominate the music. The goal is to get the right instruments to come in at the right time, at the right volume, so the whole performance improves. Second, modern chairs have to build a culture of learning. Here's a hard truth. In a complex environment, the right answer is often not obvious. Sometimes it isn't even available. Decisions become a mix of judgment, risk management, and learning over time. So boards can't just be groups that approve policies and review reports. They have to become adaptive learning systems. And the chair has a huge influence on whether that happens. A strong chair creates enough psychological safety that directors can challenge each other without it turning personal. People can raise doubts early, share a minority view, or say, "I'm not sure we're seeing this clearly," and the room treats that as a contribution, not a disruption. That kind of environment isn't just nice to have. It's a performance advantage. Boards that can debate constructively and learn quickly make better decisions over the long run. And the chairs who do this well don't leave improvement to chance. They invite feedback, both formally and informally. They ask after meetings what worked and what didn't. They look at board dynamics as something that can and should get better over time, not something you just tolerate. Third, effective chairs know how to turn diversity into an advantage. Boards today are more diverse than they've ever been, not only in demographics but in skill sets. You might have someone with deep financial expertise sitting next to someone focused on ESG. Add in cybersecurity, AI, compliance, operations, and suddenly you've got a table full of specialists. That's a tremendous asset, but it's not automatically value creating. If the chair doesn't manage the dynamic, diversity can actually backfire. The board can end up leaning too heavily on the specialists. Others may start to hold back, thinking they don't have standing to speak. Discussions can fracture into little silos where people talk past one another instead of building shared understanding. The chair's job is to make that diversity usable. That includes revisiting the board's skill mix and asking whether it still matches the strategic direction of the institution. It also means ensuring specialists elevate the group rather than unintentionally dominating it. The best experts don't just provide answers, they help others ask better questions. A strong chair encourages exactly that. Fourth, there's the challenge of managing stakeholder trade-offs. This may be the most complex part of the modern chair's role, because today boards are pulled in multiple directions at once. You're balancing performance and returns, but also regulatory expectations. You're navigating social and community pressures, while also dealing with employee priorities and culture. And these aren't separate lanes. They collide. In earlier eras, it was tempting to pretend these tensions didn't exist, or to push them off into vague language about balancing priorities. That doesn't work anymore. If a board ignores stakeholder trade-offs, those trade-offs don't disappear. They just come back later as external pressure, sometimes from regulators, sometimes from activists, sometimes from market forces. So the chair's job isn't to magically eliminate trade-offs. It's to bring them into the open, to name them clearly, to map what different stakeholders want, and to assess the real risk of doing nothing. Then, with the board, to drive decisions that can hold up over time, not just decisions that feel convenient in the moment. And fifth, the chair has to redefine partnership with the CEO. Historically, we talked about the board's role as oversight, and that's still important. Governance boundaries matter. Accountability matters. But the chair-CEO relationship has evolved. Executives are facing more demands, faster cycles, and more complexity. At the same time, boards often need more information and more engagement than they did before. That combination can create friction if it isn't managed intentionally. A strong chair helps keep the connection between directors and management productive. They streamline board requests so management isn't hit with scattered, duplicative demands. They act as a channel that reduces noise and increases clarity. And they support the CEO without stepping over the line into running the organization. It's a delicate balance. Support without interference. Partnership without blurred roles. And when it's done well, both the board and the leadership team operate with more focus and less strain. When you put all of these shifts together, you get a very different picture of what board leadership means today. The modern board chair is not just someone who presides over meetings and keeps the agenda moving. They're a facilitator who raises the quality of dialogue. They're an architect of culture who helps the board become more effective over time. They're a mediator when perspectives clash. They're a navigator in an environment where complexity is the baseline, not the exception. And in the end, the chair's most valuable contribution may be this: ensuring that a group of highly capable people can think better together than they can individually. Because the world isn't getting simpler. If anything, complexity is accelerating. And the chairs who succeed won't be the ones who control everything. They'll be the ones who help their boards learn, adapt, and decide with clarity. Especially when clarity is hard to find. As you continue to grow and adapt in today's evolving financial landscape, remember that strong leadership, ongoing education, and a commitment to service are what set credit unions apart. By investing in your knowledge and staying aligned with industry standards, you're not just strengthening your institution, you're making a lasting impact on the communities you serve. Be sure to visit the NCOFCU, members only, First Responders Credit Union Academy for your continued credit union education and certification in meeting NCUA's requirements. Your next level of growth starts there. See you next time, be safe, and keep moving forward.